Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Shouts out to everybody. Hope you had a great weekend, no matter where you are, wherever you may be, whether you're in Louisiana or you're a member of the Who Dat Nation around the country or around the world, or you were just on YouTube and you just noticed this video being live and you checked it out. Thank you so much. Hopefully you stay a little bit longer and you hit that subscription button. But today we're going to be talking about head coach Sean Payton, and also we're going to be talking about some of the games that took place this weekend, the playoffs. We all know on yesterday, if you're watching this on a Tuesday, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were eliminated from playoff contention. And, I was doing predictions this weekend about who I feel like was going to win. And, I thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to get the job done. But I must say, I've never been so happy to be so wrong in my life. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers did not deserve to be in a postseason. I thought that maybe they can be able to get it together enough due to the fact that, the Dallas Cowboys quarterback situation seemed inept. But boy, did Dak Prescott look like he was on yesterday. 5 total touchdowns. He threw 4, ran 1, and they had absolutely they had absolutely no response from it. They had absolutely no response from it, at all. And I will say this: Dan Quinn called Dennis Allen on the phone. I can tell you that right now, because a lot of the schemes that I seen, they look very, very familiar. I will say that they look very, 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 very familiar. And I know that the Dallas Cowboys played them tough last time they played them, but I looked at a lot of those schemes that they had, and to be honest with you, it looked a lot like the way that the Saints play defense against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, you got your star cornerback on an island by himself against Mike Evans, and then you had a lot of people like they double teaming Chris Godwin. Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of different looks that I seen that remind me of some of the Saints defenses. But whether you like the Saints or not, as far as where they are and where they at, as a team this season, you have to admit, I think the New Orleans Saints would have played a little bit better than what the Bucs put out there. I mean, I don't know what the heck was going on. I don't know if they just thought, like, because they played the Commanders, I'm talking to Cowboys, and Sam Howell went out there and lit them up. Then all of a sudden, like, I guess they just thought that it was going to be easy. They probably heard, Dak Prescott being criticized all week long. He don't have what it takes, but man, the Dallas Cowboys, they came prepared and they were focused. And I think that a lot of us need to put that whole Mike McCartney situation to bed, talking about, oh, if he don't win a playoff game, then he gone. Like, this dude is a really good coach, and he proved it on last night. He proved that he had his guys ready. He had that offense rolling. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had absolutely no response for that at all. You know, they had absolutely no response at all. But let's go ahead and read some of your comments in pertaining to that, and then we'll talk a little bit about Sean Payton. Let's see. TJ, where the Bucs fans at? I have absolutely no idea. I'll be shocked if I see Eddie show up here today. Jerry says, yes, chosen my guy be coming with the funnies. Bye-bye Tampa Bay. Who we hate more, Carlton, Trash Davis, or that dirty Devin White? Man, I don't hate Carlton Davis. I don't hate him. You know what I'm saying? Because if he was on our team, man, we'll be repping for him hard. He's a really good cornerback, and I got a lot of respect for that dude. It's just, you know, he just goes up against a wide receiver that we respect, and he's on our team, so we don't like him. And we most of the time we don't like a person because they're really good. Like Devin White, even though, you know, I feel like some of his antics are very, very sketchy and questionable, but you can't deny that he's a really good linebacker, and Carlton Davis is a good cornerback. Just don't like the fact that they play for a team that's considered, you know, one of our division rivals. So I ain't got no problem with those dudes. Let's see. Not gonna lie, oh Jerry, you called it. He says, "Where my crow, TJ?" I mean, I thought they were going to win. You know, I thought they were going to win. Like, sometimes you pick them, sometimes you don't. I mean, in this case, I didn't get it right. Yeah, I didn't get it right this time, but I got those 4 games over the weekend right. So, yeah, but I mean, if you want me to eat crow, yeah, I eat some crow today. But I mean, look, I said they was gonna win because of, you know, what I seen and the situations with the Cowboys. I mean, I take no pride in picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, them losing, I'm happy about it. I'm just as happy as you are, because, you know, you have these fans out here that rep Tampa Bay real hard. And they ain't real. Like, they're not real fans. But let's give Jerry his props. I want everybody put a hand clap in the chat, you know, and you know, because he did, you know, called it. He said that, you know, he don't see it. He asked me why, you know, I don't see, you know, them winning. But I mean, look, I can't, like, I hate a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, I despise a team. Like, I'm just like, if it seems like it's a better matchup and they're going to end up winning, I'm still going to pick them, you know. And I just thought that, you know, even though Tampa had some issues, I thought, you know, maybe Tom Brady would be able to weather that, because he always seems to, like, you know, do that. But it just wasn't working last night. It just was not working last night at all. All right. It's time for the Saints to clean house. I don't think it's time for them to clean house. I don't think it's that bad for them to, like, you know, it doesn't deserve anybody cleaning house at all. I just think that they need to do a little bit of some redecorating of the house, right? I just think that they need to get some different voices inside of that locker room, and you also need to get some different coordinators. See what happens when you listen to the OG. Let's see, Bucks on suicide watch. Yes, I called it. Where you at, Bucks fans? What you got to say? Yeah, I mean, look, I'm pretty sure they ain't gonna have anything to say. Hopefully the Dallas puts the rest to rest any talk of Brady in New Orleans. And I'm good on that. I mean, Tom Brady looked 45. He looked like a guy that wanted to do what he normally does and just couldn't. And look, can Tom Brady muster up enough strength and come back and be formidable next season? Yes. But I just don't feel like what are you doing this for? Like, I get it, right? You probably played all those years in New England and everything had to be so nip and tuck, and, you know, you had to kind of, you know, toe the line, and then all of a sudden you get to Tampa and you got all this freedom. You're on commercials and doing all these things to make you laugh. And you know, like, I get all that, but man, you old. You 45 years old. And I just feel like he's only going to be doing more damage to his legacy than, helping it. I mean, yeah, you can go out there and keep on padding up stats and making your passing yards and your passing touchdown record kind of stand out and make it like almost insurmountable. But I mean, you got 7 Super Bowls. Man, you ain't got anything else to prove besides the fact that you love football. And I just think that, I mean, what are you doing it for? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand this particular point. Why is Tom Brady, why would he want to come back? Why would he want to do that? Like, I feel like last year, like, I think he should have left last year. Like, bro, you got smacked around in the playoffs this time around. At least last year, like, y'all put up a fight, y'all came from behind, and it was like one play that didn't have anything to do with you. It was just the fact that the Rams had the ball last. That's a way that you need to go out. Like, that's a warrior mentality. Last night, on Monday night versus the Cowboys, he looked like a guy, like an old gunslinger with a withered hand. You know what I'm saying? Still trying to act like he Billy the Kid, or, you know what I'm saying, like one of them old gunslingers from the old West. Like, it looked bad, man. It looked pretty bad. Like, if anybody's seen House of the Dragon, right? Anybody ever seen it? I mean, it's a great show, all right? There was a scene where they were trying to overthrow his successor, who is the queen, and the king was sick. Like, he was like really, really sick, like bedridden sick, like on the verge of death sick. And then all of a sudden, like in the process, he was the only person that can overthrow the decision. All of a sudden, and right before they was about to make this change, prop open the door, in comes the king. I'm talking about on a cane, like staggering up to his throne. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was beautiful from cinematic purposes, but it was like he walked in with such regal and grace, but it's pretty obvious that he just doesn't have it anymore. And that's just kind of like what it was with Tom Brady. Like, it was a great Herculean effort and all that kind of stuff there, but it's clear that he just doesn't have it anymore. And like I said, he can continue to play and he'll play formidable because, I mean, he's been elite all these years. So even his average is still above average by both standards. I just think that it's time. Like, you don't want to be the guy that just out there, like, oh man, you just want to be out there because, he's the token guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you basically like just Joe Paterno at this point. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna say nothing to you. Ain't nobody gonna tell you to retire. Ain't nobody gonna do these things because you got so much good equity up here. But it's time to go. It's time to go, man. You don't want to keep on. Like, you already had like one of your worst records in history. As long as you've been playing, which is crazy. He never had a losing record, and you don't want to continue to, man. I mean, just damage your legacy just because you just want to play and feel young. Like, they got so many other things out there that can make you feel young. I picked Dallas in the beginning because Tampa been horrible all year. Did you think it was going to change? No, I didn't think it was going to change, but also I just felt like the Cowboys the Cowboys were a little bit of some, underachievers, even though they were successful when it comes to the record, even though they were successful when it came to like some of the things they did offensively and defensively. I just think that when it came down to big game situations, they seem to always wet the bed, more times than not. And I just thought that this would be one of those situations, but boy, was I wrong. TJ, do you think Dennis is insane thinking he can compete with Andy Dalton as quarterback versus the quarterbacks in the playoffs now, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, etc.? No, I don't think that he's crazy because, look, I seen Skylar Thompson, the quarterback from Miami. He went out there. He put forth a good effort. I mean, they were right there. Tyler Huntley, I mean, they were right there against Cincinnati. This wasn't like it was just some blowouts, right? I mean, you had a few blowouts last night versus the Tampa-Dallas game and then the 49ers. But all these other games, man, it was pretty nipped up. So even though they didn't have the quarterbacks on the level of a Burrow or, on the level of, who else I'm missing? Who else was well, y'all get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Even though they didn't have the quarterbacks on that level, still, they still were able to perform at a high level. Like, we know that Tyler Huntley isn't Lamar Jackson, and we know that Skylar Thompson isn't Tua Tagovailoa. But, that's just, they went out there and they put forth a good effort. They played pretty well, all things considered. I think the Miami Dolphins, I think what cost them the game was they just weren't prepared. Like, the dude was in a huddle. I'm talking Skylar Thompson, like reading off the play way too long. By the time they get up to the line of scrimmage, it got like 7 seconds on the clock. And then you got to do all these adjustments and stuff like that. I just think that they just kind of shot themselves in the foot. I honestly, look, does it help to have a star elite quarterback like that can just completely erase a deficit like that? Absolutely. Everybody wants one. But here's the thing. This is when I start talking about, who needs to come in as a New Orleans Saint and be their quarterback. And, sometimes I throw a name out there and then people are like, no. Like, what you don't understand is there are very few elite quarterbacks in the National Football League. Like, you can name them. How many elite quarterbacks right now can you name? Okay, let's go take a look at it. We got Patrick Mahomes, right? We got Josh Allen, right? We got Joe Burrow, right? I mean, you could put Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. I mean, they older, but they elite. Like, who else am I missing? Who else can you say is an elite quarterback outside those five gentlemen? Who am I missing? Like, who am I missing? Let's go to the NFC West. Okay, Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, Brock Purdy. Are they elite quarterbacks? Is Geno Smith, is he an elite quarterback? Matthew Stafford, is he an elite quarterback? I mean, he's really good, but he's not elite. I wouldn't put Matthew Stafford in the elite category, winning a championship or not. Like, I wouldn't put him in that category. Let's go to the AFC South. I mean, would you say Ryan Tannehill is an elite quarterback? I mean, come on, like Indianapolis or whoever they have, Matt Ryan, like elite. Like, come on, man. Like, you're going to have elite quarterbacks. There's very few quarterbacks on Mount Olympus, and then there's other guys who are just average. If you're telling me, okay, if the Saints can run the football and they can play really good defense, and they had players like how the 49ers got, like, you throw like Brock Purdy, literally, if you watch that 49ers game, Brock Purdy just basically threw 5-yard passes to Christian McCaffrey, and Christian McCaffrey turned to 65. Threw like a 6 or 7-yard pass to Deebo Samuels, and he, going down the field about 60 yards. Like, when you get guys like yards after the catch and you can get yourself a running game, yeah, I feel like the Saints can win with Andy Dalton. Yeah, but you got to put things around him. Like, you got quarterbacks that can win in spite of their circumstance, and then you have to have quarterbacks that got to win because of their circumstance. See, what we as Saints fans have become accustomed to is a quarterback winning no matter what the circumstances was with Drew Brees. So anytime somebody is average or a little bit above average, we kind of just, throw them away because we're so used to a quarterback making the right decisions, putting the guys in the right position to succeed, and we have grown accustomed to that. So if it's not looking like Drew Brees, if it don't make decisions like Drew Brees, then all of a sudden, like, we just feel like that guy isn't good enough. But in reality, whoever the Saints get, rather it's free agency or not, they're going to probably be limited. They're probably going to be average, because if they weren't, then they probably would be on somebody's roster right now. The reason why these guys are able to go and test free agency is probably because money or an organization feel like they can get better. So for anybody that just feel like, oh, if we sign this guy, that guy, like, there's no guarantee that guy is going to be everything you want them to be. It just don't work like that. That's just the reality. If you're looking for Drew Brees 2.0, I mean, I'm just being real with you. It's probably not going to happen for a long, long time. You can probably find a guy that can probably win you some games, that can do some things maybe Drew couldn't, but Drew Brees was a special quarterback, and you're not going to find him. You're not going to just find him just randomly through the draft. Like, you ain't just about to find a third or fourth round pick that, and you sign them, and all of a sudden they just become Drew Brees. No, it don't work like that. Or a free agent. Like, sometimes, like, you just got to take average quarterback play or above average quarterback play, and you got to put a team around them in order for them to succeed. And sometimes, that quarterback might throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then there's some games where he might throw for 1 touchdown, 2 picks. But, like I said, there's very few elite quarterbacks in the National Football League when you think about it. Bucks don't rule nothing but the basement. Now they are finally coming back down to earth and in reality. Look, I knew the Bucks were going to do this. I'm going to drink some water. Got a frog in my throat. I know the Bucks were going to do this. Like the Bucks fan were going to do this, right? Like they grandstanded hot dog because they were in the playoffs. And I knew exactly what the excuse was going to be when they lose. They're going to bring up I seen one guy said, if I ain't talking with nobody who team got less rings than mine. See, this is what I don't understand. Like, mainstream media has programmed us to believe that if you have championship success, more championship success than the other team, then that automatically means that you're better, right? But that ain't always the case. Like, any team can fall ass backwards into prosperity if you want to be honest. All of them can. Like, and that's like saying to me, like a person that's saying that my championships, I got more championships than you could, so you shouldn't be able to say anything to me. That is like somebody saying to me that Joe Flacco is a better quarterback than Dan Marino because Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl, right? That's like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, yeah, you had championship success. That's fine. But am I supposed to forget the fact that you all have been inept for the last 20 years? Am I supposed to forget that just because you had 3 years of prosperity? Like, you feel like now that you can beat on your chest and say, oh, we're so great. You're not that great. You're not that great. Look, the only thing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans, I'm going to tell you this. Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans need to understand that you all aren't winning jack without Tom Brady. Like that, if that didn't prove, if you didn't see that last night, I don't know what to tell you. Tom Brady is the straw that stirs the drink. Tom Brady is the guy who is getting all this attention for you guys. There's a false sense of reality going on. See, when you can turn on all of these big name sports shows and hear about your team, then all of a sudden, like, you feel like, oh, my team is here. We have arrived. No, Tom Brady arrived. Okay. This is like a lead singer coming in, everybody's screaming and hollering and stuff like that. And you walking in with them and you start looking around and maybe that one girl probably, wink at you or something like that as you walk in and you like, yeah, they here to see me. That's kind of like what this is. Once Tom Brady leaves, that's it. Like, you all have yet to prove that you can find success outside of Tom Brady. Can you imagine what this team would look like if they didn't have Tom Brady on this team this season? Like, they were 8-9? It would have been worse than that. There's been games where he erased deficits. And for some apparent reason, they just feel like, oh, we found success for the future. How do you, what have you seen? What have you seen? Unless y'all about to get Lamar Jackson or some top-notch quarterback that's going to come through, like, you're going to be in the same position. You're going to be in the same position because even though a lot of guys made commitments, based on the fact of Tom Brady being in Tampa. So if Tom Brady ain't there, do you think these other guys ain't about to go out here and try to go for greener pastures? That's just the reality, man. Like, y'all can talk about them 2 Super Bowls all you want to, but it still don't erase the fact that I'm just being real. The Saints are a better organization than them. The Falcons are a better organization than them. And also the Panthers are a better organization than them. I'm talking about organizationally structured. What they did was something that was just very, very simple. All they did was, bought a bunch of players $2 for $3. And that is not going to be sustainable success. So unless they have found themselves and they're going to like do some things that a lot of teams do, they start building through the draft and creating all these opportunities. All I see is a team that is destined for the basement. That's just what I see. And we can talk, like I said, you can talk about championship rings all day and night, but the Saints are a better organization than you all. Overall, the Saints are 39-20 against you all. The Saints have swept the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on 6 occasions since the NFC South has been in inception. And on top of that, for the first time, this is the first time that y'all actually scored at home in Raymond James Stadium on the Saints in 2 years. So you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. You can talk about, oh, man, we got these Super Bowls, but I hope they keep you warm at night, because in reality, y'all going right back to where y'all once were. And you all know it. And that's the reason why when you talk to Bucs fans, they come back with this aggressive response. It's because they know we telling the truth. They know, you all know that you're nothing without Tom Brady. And I got proof. When Tom Brady was retiring for those 40 days, Tampa Bay Buccaneers Twitter went black. I seen people talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, repping, beating on their chest. Then all of a sudden, like when this dude retired, I ain't seen none of y'all. Then all of a sudden, 40 days, he comes back. Now, oh yeah, we back, baby, running back. Grandstanding fans. And this is one more thing before we get to the Sean Payton thing. People are talking about, like, Tampa Bay fans will tell Saints fans, oh, y'all so emotional. Y'all emotional. You want to know why we so emotional? Because we're passionate about our team. That's why. Like, name something that you don't get emotional about that you passionate about. When somebody started talking about my son, like, I start to tear up because I'm passionate, because I love my son. When somebody talking about my wife, I tear up a little bit because I love my wife. I'm passionate about that. When people start talking about the Saints and the Saints don't get it done, yeah, I talk with a lot of passion because I love my team. You know the reason why y'all don't talk with enough passion? Y'all know why y'all don't talk with enough aggression? It's very, very simple. Because you're a bunch of grandstanders. You've been riding the wave for 3 years, and now you realize that, oh, there's no more waves in the water. The water is calm right now, and you ain't got no more waves to ride. So all of a sudden, now you're starting to look at us. Nah, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Where that energy was at when y'all was losing. I ain't see too many Tampa Bay fans fall up in my mentions. I didn't see even too many Tampa Bay fans saying, man, I know we had a down season, but we'll be back next year. So you all are a bunch of fair weather fans. Like, it's so pathetic. Like, you're here to get validation from Saints fans. We ain't even in the playoffs. That's what we don't understand. Like, you're in the New Orleans Saints chat to get validation. I ain't talking about the people that's always been here and supporting that's been Buck fan, but I'm talking about people that I rarely ever seen. You're coming to the New Orleans Saints podcast to get validation. If you are who you say you are, if y'all done took over the South and we ain't no threat to y'all whatsoever, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Do you see me like you see me on Bucks Nation or Bucks fan podcast? Now somebody invite me and the Saints playing the Bucks and it makes sense. I'm there, but I'm not going to find myself looking and trying to find Bucks podcasts and Bucks content. The reason why you're here, because you wish that you had this type of passion. You wish that your team could generate this much passion. It's over, Tampa, and you know it. You know it. What proof do you have that y'all can turn this around? What proof do you have? Y'all done got draft pick after draft pick. Y'all done changed this team, coach after coach, and yet you still sitting up here trying to get validation because you know in reality that you all have an uphill climb. Manna fell down from heaven in the form of Tom Brady. It came down. It rained down on y'all. and a former Tom Brady. Now all of a sudden, y'all feel like y'all matter. But what y'all about to really, really, really realize is that you don't. I mean, I can hear the truck backing up right now to pull all the cords out of the wall. It's over, man. Once that man decides that he goes off the greener pasture, bye-bye prime time. Bye-bye focal point. Bye-bye 15, 20-minute talking segments on big name shows. It's over. But you can stay right here, you know. We ain't going to be talking about y'all too much, but y'all can stay here. Y'all can stay here. You know, we love to have you. I mean, but you cannot kill a Saints play. You cannot kill a Saints fan's determination and drive because we real fans. See, right now you're jumping in the chat because you want us to feel just as bad as you feel right now, getting embarrassed on national TV. But we don't. We don't feel bad because the way our team played this year is not an indictment of how we're going to feel in the future. We're going to continue to say who that. We're going to continue to do shows like this, and y'all going to continue to come in and look because you want to know what passion really look like. Well, welcome to the State of the Saints podcast, where we rep the Who Dat Nation loud and proud. We rep our team loud and proud. And regardless if they 8-9, 9-8, 7-10, we still gonna be here. I wonder, will it be the same thing? Some of you Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. But let's go ahead and move on, man. Let's talk about head coach Sean Payton. Let's talk about Sean Payton. I cannot open up the phone lines today because there's I don't know if y'all know, a couple shows back, there was an echo that was in there. And when I did a test before the show, that echo is back. So I will have to, in order for me to fix that, I will actually have to unplug some things, and I'm not trying to do that. Okay, so I apologize. Next show that we do, I promise you, I'll take phone calls. All right, but in order for me to do that, I will have to unplug something, and it will interrupt the show. Buck fans ain't killing my happiness. Nah, they can't kill that. They can't kill my happiness. And, you know, they can't kill your passion either. You know? I mean, things are right in front of you. If you care, like, if you don't care, then why are you here? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, why are you here trying to justify your team? Ain't no justification for it. We all know the truth, man. Like, for real. We all know the truth. We know it. And they know it too. And that's the reason why, you know, what I'm saying to them, you know, bothers them so much. But head coach Sean Payton, he had a few interviews. He interviewed with the Houston Texans on yesterday. He got some interviews lined up. He got some with the Denver Broncos. He has one with the Arizona Cardinals. And the shock to a lot of people, he also has one with the Carolina Panthers. And, you know, he was on the herd. He talked to Colin Cowherd, and he said that the Saints are looking for a first rounder, more like a mid or a late first rounder for his services. So he put that out there. I'm pretty sure he had conversations with Mickey Loomis in regards to that. So I think that's where he knows where the Saints stand, where he knows what they want to do. So no need to, you know, talk to him if you feel like you don't have that. Look, all I know is this whole Carolina Panther situation, I must say, you know, I don't believe that he's going to end up coaching the Carolina Panthers. I just think that this is just a sign to show that Mickey Loomis is willing to do everything he possibly can in order to try to get a first-round pick. And also, this helps Sean Payton keep up appearances a little bit. But you have to be completely insane. Like, you got to be out of your freaking mind if you allow Sean Payton to get traded to the Carolina Panthers. This guy is in your division playing you twice. And as a Saints fan, I must admit, folks, if this happened, I'm getting mad. I'm getting upset because all this stuff about Sean Payton and, you know, he was, you know, mentally drained and he wanted to sit out and all that kind of stuff. Like, Not all of a sudden, like you just get this motivation to coach and you're gonna go coach another team in the same division. That just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me at all, and it shouldn't make sense to you at all. Right? That would kind of solidify the fact that he just didn't want to coach the Saints anymore. Even though I don't care, people get mad at me all they want to. I feel like that was the case. I feel like he did not want to coach the Saints anymore, and he rather go sit out and be on TV than to coach that team. Like it's just that simple. Like he was going to go to Miami. That's all the sources and everything that I heard. He wanted to go to Miami. Then that whole Brian Flores situation happened, and that threw a monkey wrench in their plans. But I'm telling you, man, like I'm not buying that stuff. Like to me, television was an alternative. He excelled in it. He did a really good job. He embraced it. But I don't care. Like he just didn't want to coach the Saints anymore. Like because if it wasn't just about the team, what has Dennis Allen done this season for you to not even consider Sean Payton coming back to the Saints? Like at the least, you know what I'm saying? They need to like conduct an interview or something like that. Like you have one of the best coaches of like in your franchise's history, and he's on the street, and you still have contractual rights to him, and his successor looked like slaw most of the season. And come on, man, give me a break. All I'm saying is, man, the dude didn't want to be here. Mickey knew it. Mickey knows that. Like, if he's your best friend, like you saying that he's your best friend, you know the deal. You know the deal. I can honestly see Sean Payton going back to broadcasting. Come on, TJ, you know Sean Payton left because of Jameis Winston. Nah, man, he ain't leave because of no Jameis Winston. Like, and that ain't right, man. That ain't right for anybody to say. Like, as much as I have watched Sean Payton as a coach, like we all know that Sean Payton loves himself a project. He loves it. He likes to show people that y'all got it wrong, but I got it right, and I'm gonna make it work. And I don't think that it had anything to do with Jameis Winston. I don't. I just think that in a way it did. I don't think he felt like he couldn't get the best out of Jameis Winston, but I just think that 9-8 season kind of made him nervous, and he felt like it probably would take some of the shine off of him. And it put the shine back. What put the shine back on him was the same season this year, because they kept everybody intact, and it just didn't work out. So what's the one common denominator? It's Sean Payton. So it makes him look like even more of a genius than he actually is. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a genius, but I'm just saying like it just completely amplifies it because the team looks so bad. But I don't think it was like, man, Jameis Winston, my quarterback, I'm out. Because I mean, it was his decision to sign Jameis Winston, right? It was his decision to make Jameis Winston a starter. How many times we beat the Bucs? More than 2 times, even without Breeze. The fact that you can only talk about 2 wins is sad. I definitely don't want Sean in our division or conference, and I agree he didn't want to coach the Saints anymore, and that's cool. Let's get it done and get our picks and some players back. Yeah, I'm okay with, whatever the Saints get, as long as it don't involve him going to Carolina. I mean, I just don't think that's a good idea. I just think that would be terrible decision making by Mickey Loomis, and that would just make people even more upset. Saints fans are upset at the Saints organization right now. So there's a reason why I feel like they treading softly. It's a reason why it's all quiet on the home front. It's the reason why you ain't really seeing or hearing anything about this team, because they know, like, people are upset and they feel like, oh, well, we're going to go away for a while because everybody just kind of up in arms, and then all of a sudden we just going to come back and we're going to try to fix this, and maybe everybody be and calm down. Like, people know what they want. Like, people know that this is bad. I mentioned this on Twitter today. I said it's amazing to me how this team isn't aggressively making any type of moves. Like, they're not trying to fix anything, right? Like I don't know. Like I feel like this silence is makes you complicit, right? That's what it means, right? If you're not doing anything or trying to aggressively try to move things around, it's like you complicit. It's like we did a good enough job. We might make some changes, we might not. And I just don't like the smugness of this organization at times. Like they acting as if, like they just knock it out the park all the time. And I don't know if it has anything to do with job security or what. Maybe they just don't have any fear for their job. Maybe that's just an ongoing thing, right? The players don't care, what I'm saying, when it comes to like making mistakes for the most part because they know ain't nothing about to happen to them. Maybe it's the same way with some of these organization members, these guys in the front office. Maybe they feel like they got so much equity built up to they feel like their job, they got tenure. Like you can do anything. As long as I got tenure, you know what I'm saying? I can't lose my job. But that's the way that they move it. All I know is you got teams out here firing guys, letting guys go, parting ways with them, and y'all sitting up here with the same lame, boring, conservative coaching staff that y'all had, and y'all not even trying to make no moves. And I don't feel bad about saying this. People are like, oh, man, the season just ended a couple weeks ago. But you got all these things coming up. Like you got the Senior Bowl coming up on the 4th. You got all these different like coaches. They getting interviews. Like, so what you gonna get, right? I mean, you already got Chris Richard. He interviewing for a DC job. You got Ryan Nielsen interviewing for a DC job. I mean, like, what are you doing? Like, what steps are you taking to try to make sure that you can, if these guys get opportunities and they deserve opportunities, what are you going to do? What are you going to do to fix that? If you're not out here, aggressively looking, or we're not hearing anything about you all trying to do some interviews. It's kind of the same way before like the draft, like after the draft, that's when you start seeing them sign guys. But man, these big coordinators, these guys who were next in line, who are getting the opportunities, I mean, they getting signed, and y'all sitting somewhere with Pete Carmichael with his old conservative self, and like, man, this ain't working. Like, this ain't working, and it ain't working, but they pretending and acting as if it is. A Mack truck couldn't improve Dalton. He got to go. Carolina should not even be in the mix. Bucks go whoop Saints again next year, if you say so. I don't know with who. I don't know how you believe they're gonna do that. Without Tom Brady, miss me with that nonsense. Suggs go back to Saints punching bag next season and season after next and the next. Some people just too dumb to know when is the right time to trash talk. Hey, dummy, this is not the right time. The Bucks ain't whooping nothing after last night. Looked horrible. Scroll down a little bit. Tyrell says, I think the Saints are entertaining Sean Payton interviews with teams with the end game of him coming back to the Saints, and Brady would be behind him shortly. That's my wishful thinking. Well, I'll tell you what, if that is the case, then my goodness, that would be one hell of a tailspin. I can tell you that. You won a division full of trash teams. Congrats, you best trash teams. And it was pretty obvious that they looked like a 7 seed, even though they weren't, due to the fact that they won a division. They clearly were a 7 seed masquerading as a 4. TJ, 2023 could be rough for the Saints. It doesn't appear no changes will be made to improve coaching. It's sad. Y'all never beat us when it counts. Man, all games count. Miss me with that. Bruh, stop trying to set up. Why people try to set up arguments to make themselves look valid? All games count. If the Saints would have beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you know what I'm saying, this time around, then they would have been in the playoffs. You talking about beating them when it count, but how many of those beatings that the New Orleans Saints gave y'all count? Plenty of them. Like, I hate when people say, man, that game didn't count. Look, bruh, if when the game is over and it affects your win or your loss record, it counts. So miss me with that. Like, miss me with that nonsensical rhetoric that I don't even need to read no more. When you start stuff like that, it's like you trying to set it up to try to make yourself look credible. But you end up losing in the process. Like, miss me with that, man. Y'all lost. And the Saints are a better team. Like throughout history, the Saints are a better team. Head to head, the Saints are a better team. Once again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home scored for the first freaking time against the New Orleans Saints in 2 years. You like the Saints for 2 years. 2 years. Didn't allow y'all to score in your own stadium. The Saints, like for the exception of this year, the Saints smacked around the guy that you all had as your quarterback over the last 3 years. This dude, like on the tail end of his career, finally win 2 games against the Saints. His completion percentage is the lowest of his career against the Saints. His touchdown to interception ratio is worse than that against the Saints. Like, miss me with that, man. We win when it count? Bro, all these games count. What are we talking about? Mike, thank you very much for 499. Says Sean is going to fleece Mickey. Why is a top 5 pick out of the conversation already? That should have been on the floor. It's because teams not going to give you that. It's because teams not going to give you that. And they understand leverage. If Sean Payton goes back to the boot, it's going to take that shine off. And it's going to make teams less desperate than what they are right now, because they're like, oh, we got to do is just wait 1 more year and we can just get them on our own. And we ain't got to worry about giving the Saints anything. So even though a lot of people feel like the Saints just got ultimate hand, right? In a way, yeah, but if you don't move now, then you might not get anything. Pete, pack your bags, buddy. Sean going to call you. Brady been trash all season. Ref been bailing them out. That's to entice other teams to think they have a chance to buy in. Yeah. I'm going to watch the rest of the show when I get off work. Y'all have a blessed day, family. Appreciate that, Jules. Thank you, man. I don't know. Let me see. I thought it was all about rings, though. It is not. It is not. It is not. To y'all, it's about rings, right? Because, like I said, it just try to validate y'all and make you feel like your argument is compelling. I don't know. Is George George Mason went to the Final Four, right? You know, and I want to say they beat Duke or something like that. Do you think that because they went to the Final Four by beating Duke, do you think they would do that consistently? Like, so if they played 7 games, how many games you think George Mason will win against Duke? Some of these underdog teams, like who is that? St. Peter's. How many games do you think that they will actually win against some of these top power conference schools? Like anybody can win any game on any particular day. But what happens when a team just constantly smacks you around? Like completely like embarrass you. This is like, to me, like seriously, this is like Mississippi Valley State talking to me and I'm a Jackson State alumni. That's what this feels like to me. Like y'all not a better team. Like historically, you have not been a better team. Since the inception of the South, you all have not been a better team than the Saints. The Saints have proven time and time again that they are better than you all. And over the last 3 years, you all have found success. But even in that success, the Saints were beating y'all. So even at y'all best, even when y'all was blowing out teams, even when Tom Brady was at his apex, he still looked mediocre against the Saints. And yet y'all still want to sit up here and fix your mouth talking about this? Like, what are we talking about? Like, I get it. Like, go ahead and flash them rings in front of our face, but it still don't mean anything. It still don't mean not to me. And honestly, and I don't even feel bad about saying this, because if it was the shoe was on the other foot and the Saints had 2 rings and Tampa had 1, that would not even be one of my arguments. That would not be one of my arguments. Like, even when I'm going at Falcon fans, like my argument don't even have anything to do with how many championships the Saints got and they ain't got none. I don't have to do that. See, that's lazy. See, that's what lazy commentary does. Oh, we got more rings than y'all. Like, what about stats? What about win losses? What about performance and how a team actually looks? I don't know, man. like, okay, y'all got a championship, like, hooray. But the Saints still better overall and made the best quarterback that y'all ever had in y'all franchise history look like an average man. So there's that. If it's all about range, then Trent Dilfer is better than Marino, and we all know it isn't true. That's all I'm saying. Like, if the only thing that you have to say to me is, man, we got them range though. Like, okay, y'all got them, but I mean, come on. The New York Giants beat an undefeated Patriots team. Did that make them better than the Patriots? No, it don't. Just mean that they were better than them on that particular day. They got, they won the game. Like, I never understood like using range to try to validate your organizations or your team supremacy. Now, if it's like one of them things with the Patriots where they just completely sweep the division every single time, yeah. But this, lazy. The overall record, Saints versus Bucs, is 39-24, but Tampa is better. Saints have the longest win streak against them, which is 7, but Tampa is better. Saints won 10 of the last 3 meetings, but okay. Yeah, let them have it. Say y'all didn't draft Breeze, though. Yeah, we didn't draft Breeze. Yeah, that's fine. But what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with Teddy Bridgewater beating y'all? What's that have to do with Trevor Siemian beating y'all? Like, what does that have to do with anything? So even the Saints' most mediocre, like, this is what I'm saying. Even the Saints' most mediocre quarterbacks, beat y'all. Drew Brees didn't play. Teddy Bridgewater beat you. I want to say, didn't Taysom Hill beat you? Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, even the Saints' backups were putting foots in y'all. So, man, come on. Here's another thing. The Saints proved that they can win without Drew Brees. Can Tampa prove that they can win without Tom Brady? Let me elaborate on that. The Saints went 9-8, and the only reason they missed the playoffs last season was because the San Francisco 49ers beat the Rams. And if the Rams would have won that game, the Saints would have been in the playoffs with Taysom freaking Hill as they starting quarterback. So that's the reason I'm telling you. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, organizations matter when it comes down to it. You all have not proven a doggone thing. Like, what's going to happen once this dude leaves? Are y'all comfortable enough to say that y'all going to win 11, 12 games? Like, yeah, but you got your rings, though. But as far as Sean Payton is concerned, I'm more interested to see if he's like this whole Arizona situation. Arizona just hired themselves a new general manager. You know that Sean Payton would like to probably have a little bit of some say-so when it comes to like where he goes and who comes with him. You know he's going to want autonomy. Like you know that he's going to want to call the shots. And I just think by Arizona hiring the general manager, I don't know how that would affect Sean Payton's decision. But Arizona is a good team. I feel like they're ready now. And I honestly feel like if the Saints were to get a top pick, this would be the team because they have all the pieces in place to be successful. And if you take that and maybe, add to your offensive line through a free agency or even draft the offensive lineman in the second round, you'll get opportunity to have a win now team. I mean, the NFC West, yeah, I mean, they not just world beaters. I mean, the 49ers look incredible, but it's not like it's not a division that you just can't come in and then if in the right situation, the right coach, that you can't win now. You can't win now. And I feel like they can win. They can win now, and I think that's something that they need to consider. Houston, I mean, listening to Sean Payton talk about Houston, he mentioned, the fact that he knows the owners, he knows, some of the people on the staff, and he's familiar with that. And he even mentioned, he said, I feel like, there's a chance that I can be able to go to Houston. And to be honest with you, that's not a bad landing spot. Now, I understand that they fired their last 2 coaches. I get that. I understand that. But you look at the division, the AFC South, it's not a tough division. It's not a tough division. It's a division that Sean Payton can turn that team around and win easily. And I won't say dominate because I have a lot of respect for Doug Peterson out there and also Mike Vrabel. You know, I have some respect for them as well. But this is a division where I just feel like he can come in and he can make an immediate impact. And I just think that when you look at Sean Payton's, once again, his personality, like he has that personality of a fixer, you know, like a guy that comes in to try to correct the mistakes, you know, that teams teams made, organizations made, players made. You know, I look at him in that regard. And you know, the Houston Texans looking like a train wreck right now. I think that if he can, you know, galvanize that fan base, I think if he can, you know, get their morale back up again and they start winning some games, and I think that Hall of Fame gonna look even more better for Sean Payton because I mean he did the same thing with the Saints. The Saints, I don't think morale could be as low, right? All the things that were going on before he got here, Hurricane Katrina, dealing with some of the hardships that it was dealing with. Free agents didn't want to come here, you know, because the city was pretty much under the sea. And, he comes in and brings his team to the NFC Championship game. You know, so I wouldn't put it past him going to Houston. And honestly, as a Saint fan, you should want him to go to Houston because the Saints were, if they didn't make a trade, they would have got the 10th pick in the draft. The Houston Texans, they got the 2nd pick, but they also have the 12th pick. So if you can somehow trade Sean Payton for the 12th pick in the draft, I mean, that's win-win. You know what I'm saying? That's just 2 picks behind the pick that you originally was going to have. So it sounds like a win to me. So that embarrassing season that you had that got one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL this season, the 10th pick, so the rich is going to get richer. At least you can save face a little bit by making this deal happen. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways, that whole Houston thing can work. I mean, Denver, I just wondered to myself, like, okay, how many years did Russell Wilson have of how many more years of good production does Russell Wilson have? He didn't look good this past season. You can talk about Nathaniel Hackett. You can talk about some of the things that were going on offensively. You can say all those things, but how many years can you really just truly say that you have an opportunity to coach Russell Wilson? And if so, like, how many productive seasons and does he really have left in him? Does he have an MVP season left in him? I just think that it's probably easier for you to actually get the 2nd pick in the draft, right? And you draft your own quarterback. And, that's just where it is. But I really feel this way. If Sean Payton goes to the Texans, they drafting Will Levis. They're not drafting Bryce Young. Like, I really feel that way. If Sean Payton goes to the Texans, they drafting Will Levis because we know that Sean Payton likes a certain type of player at a certain position. And he even mentioned this in an interview. He talked about the height and the size for that particular position. So to me, I think they probably end up drafting Will Levis. And he probably going to be a quarterback, and Bryce Young probably going to end up going somewhere else. I don't feel like Bryce Young is going to be the first pick in the draft. I think the Chicago Bears are probably going to go defense. I don't see them drafting another guy. I don't feel like anything is totally wrong with Justin Fields. Justin Fields showed some things this season that, and I think that's something that you can actually build on. So I'm not ready to just say, okay, he's just going to be the first pick in the draft, but I just feel like he's going to draft Will Levis. That's just the way I feel. Based on, his upside and all that kind of stuff, I feel like Sean Payton probably going to end up drafting a guy like that if he ends up becoming the head coach of the Texans. 12th pick in next year's 3rd and 5th. Yeah, I mean, but like I said, if you can get that 12th pick, to me, if you can get a 12th pick, and I know people want, try to fleece everybody, but if you can get a 12th pick, I feel like that's something that you can actually, build on. you can actually build on that, right? So the way I see it, like if you can get that 12th pick, then you can probably probably build on it. Because if none of these things actually happen, you'll have the 10th pick. So you'll be able to get at least you picking in the first round again. TJ, could the Saints get a future quarterback with picks that's not top 10? Yeah, I think they can. I think they can. I mean, let me see. Let me pull up this draft order real quick. If you just give me a chance, let me try to pull up this draft order. I can put it up on the screen, and let's try to see where we're at. Pretty sure this is going to be pretty updated because, all games are done. So thank y'all for being here as I'm scrolling and trying to look and see if I can actually find. Okay, so here we go. Let me see if I can pull this up on the screen. All right, let's see. All right, so I think I got it up on the screen. Okay, I hope everybody can see this, but let's see if we can scroll down a little bit. I think I may have. Okay, here we go. So we got the Chicago Bears at 1. Then you have the Houston Texans at 2. And you got the Arizona Cardinals at 3. Colts at 4. Seattle at 5. Detroit at 6. Vegas at 7. Falcons at 8. Carolina at 9. Then you got, Philadelphia at 10. Titans at 11 and Texans at 12. So if let's just say, for example, hypothetically speaking, if the New Orleans Saints were to pick at 12, all right. So let's scroll back up. Let's go over this thing, see where we at. All right. So I feel like the Chicago Bears, they already got their quarterback. So why would you do that? So I think they probably gonna get somebody like Jalen Carter or something like that out of Georgia. All right. If Sean Payton goes to the Texans, I feel like Will Levis would be the first quarterback off the board. Then Arizona, they need offensive line help like real bad. So they probably gonna go offensive line. All right. So then you have the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to draft themselves a quarterback. So what did I just mention? Right. So I'm pretty sure they'll probably get Bryce Young. Seattle, I think they probably gonna sign Geno Smith to a contract. I don't think they're gonna go quarterback. Detroit, you got Jared Goff. Why would you want to draft a quarterback? That just doesn't make sense. He had like one of his best seasons ever. The Raiders, they'll draft a quarterback. So that's 3, right? So that's about 3 quarterbacks that you have right there. All right. So yeah, so the Raiders, that's 3 quarterbacks that's gonna be off the board. 4, I guess if you include Carolina. So who's like the 5th best quarterback out there? Like who's the 5th best? Like so that's the way I look at it. So I'm pretty sure you got CJ Stroud, you got Bryce Young, you got Will Levis, and who else am I missing? All right, so you got like 4 quarterbacks that are out there. The 3 that everybody just seems to talk about is CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis. All right, but you also have like other quarterbacks that are available. You got the quarterback out of Washington State. You got a quarterback out of Florida that Richardson didn't mention. You got Hendon Hooker, somebody that we all are pretty high on as Saints fans. So you got some guys that you can get. Richardson probably can fall to you. The quarterback out of Stanford, his name escapes me. I apologize. He's a guy that you can probably look at. So yeah, you can find a quarterback, but even like, a little further down. But I think when you start getting further down, you might want to at least sign a quarterback to free agency so they can be a bridge while the young guy develops. CJ Stroud. Hooker can definitely be a risk for us to draft, though. Yeah, I don't feel like, man, I think Hendon Hooker can be a really good quarterback. No, my biggest concern, to be honest with you, my biggest concern is this coaching staff, like, just not having them prepared, man. Like, that's why I'm really adamant, man. Like, I want this man to be a coach. Don't get me wrong, but if there's just a chance that he just does not become a head coach again, I'm talking Frank Reich. I want to see this dude as the Saints offensive coordinator, man. Like, this dude has gotten the best out of a lot of quarterbacks, man, that people just felt like weren't good or wasn't good enough or probably written off. Like, he has the secret sauce. And I just think that if you're trying to build a team and you're trying to find a franchise quarterback, you need a guy that can help them see the field. Because no matter how much talent they have, no matter how much ability they have, if they don't have somebody that can help them see the potential and the talent that they have, then you're going to always be in the same position. Like, man, you got to have a guy that can take the training wheels off a guy and not be so ultra super conservative, right? I hope the next coordinator that they get is a guy that is completely opposite of Dennis Allen, because they need that. They need that. They need somebody that knows what they're doing and that understands situational football. Like, that's another thing too. The biggest issues that the Saints had was these adjustments. Imagine having another guy who has seen the field and has been a head coach, understanding situational football. Offensively, at times, it seemed like they didn't. So like, if they can get a guy like Frank Reich, that'll be great. That'll be great to find somebody like that. Because my thing is, like, people bring up, Eric Bieniemy. The only reason I can see Eric Bieniemy leaving Kansas City is this whole stigma about it's Andy Reid's offense and he just standing next to him. So only way I can see him leaving, going somewhere else to be an offensive coordinator, is him trying to prove to the National Football League that he has what it takes to be a head coach. So if he goes to another team and the offense just starts booming, then all of a sudden, then I feel like his star is probably going to be, going to shine a little bit brighter. But I just think that he's always going to be in the shadow of Andy Reid, and is always going to raise a lot of suspicion about who is running what. Frank Reich will go to the Chargers. They fired Lombardi today. Well, I tell you what, if he go to the Chargers and you ain't call this man out one time, shame on you. TJ, who do you think is the best pocket passing quarterback in the draft? Would you rather have a mobile quarterback with good passing or an elite passer that's not mobile? Well, I think in today's NFL, you can't just be one or the other. You gotta have a little bit of both. Like, you gotta have the ability to be able to run as well as throw the ball. And have to have escapability too. So I honestly, I don't want a statue. Like, you ain't got to be Vic, you ain't got to be Lamar Jackson or nobody like that. But when the pocket breaks down, like, I would like a quarterback that can be able to scramble and slide for a couple of yards. Not always looking to run, but let's just say, for example, they playing man coverage, everybody got their back turned. You can see the middle of the field. Like, man, go get them 10 yards. Right? There were times where, that could have happened. There was times where, Andy Dalton could have ran, but he didn't. Right? He just stood there in the pocket. And I just think that you need to possess a level of athleticism in today's NFL. What about Stetson Bennett? I mean, he's a champ. Yeah, I mean, Stetson Bennett, yeah, he won a lot. When I look at this dude, I see a bunch of great qualities that you want in a quarterback. But, here's the reality. If Stetson Bennett was about 6'3" or 6'4", this dude would be a first or a second round pick. But it's just his stature. He's a short guy. He's like 5'10", 5'11". And teams, don't want to take a risk on somebody like that, especially with a high draft pick. Now, I think he's going to get drafted. If I was the Saints, like, to be honest, like, he wouldn't be like my main quarterback, but I would take a fly on him. Like if I get a first round pick and I draft a quarterback, right? And I mean, if it's like the sixth round or seventh round or something like that, I was in there, and I would draft Stetson Bennett. Right? I mean, it's basically like you just taking a fly on him. I mean, how many 6 round picks, 7 round picks playing in the league? You know, like you got Brock Purdy out there. I mean, you had Skylar Thompson out there. You know, like those guys were out there playing, but they weren't supposed to play. You know, they weren't supposed to play this season. So most of the time, if you're not, you know, a top 3 pick, teams aren't trying to like keep you around. They're not trying to give you many ways to stay around. So if it just didn't work out with Stetson, then that's cool. You know, I mean, but I would take a fly on. Should we go after Derek Carr? I mean, I would like to see Derek Carr as the quarterback of the Saints. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I really feel like the Saints are probably going to try to get a guy in free agency. Dennis Allen going into the 2023 season is probably going to be on the hot seat. So I look at this two ways. Number one, the Saints can be so bad that they picking first overall. I don't know if that'll happen. I don't think they'll be that bad. But I'm just saying, like, they can be picking like first overall. So let's just say, for example, hypothetically, if they were picking like in the top 5 or something like that this season, and you had like an opportunity to get Caleb Williams or something, like, come on, man. You already got Derek Carr on your books, because if you get him, it's going to have to be like via trade. All right, so you'll mess around and be trying to, you know, make it work with Derek Carr when you have a generational talent right there. So I'm just interested. Like, I'm interested to see what the Saints do. And I honestly feel like they probably going to end up drafting a quarterback and getting a guy that's probably here on a year deal. Like, that's how I feel. Like, you can look at it two ways. Like, team can stink, and, you know, you get yourself a top pick. But like I said, my biggest concern is if they fall flat on their face like they did this season, and you picking in the top, you know, you get a top 3, top 5 pick, and there are quarterbacks out there that are better than Derek Carr that you probably going to end up passing on. And because, I mean, you have his contract and you have all these things going for you. So they got to be real careful with that. Son of God, thank you very much for the 199, says, if the Saints don't draft a quarterback, what quarterback in free agency you taking for now? I would have to look at the list. I mean, I know there ain't a lot of quarterbacks. Let's just go ahead and look at the list. And we winding down the show. Let's see. Quarterback free agents in 2023. All right, let's see what we got here. All right. As I'm pulling this up, this is courtesy of Sports Track. Or Spot Track, excuse me, not Sports Track, Spot Track. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna pull this up on the screen so everybody can see this, and we'll see where we're at once again. All right, so here we go. All right, so as we look at this, as we look at the screen right here, okay, we got Tom Brady. I'm not really interested, to be honest with you. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Jimmy Garoppolo, Teddy Bridgewater, Daniel Jones, Case Keenum, Mason Rudolph, Jacoby Brissett, Geno Smith, Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton, Mike White, C.J. Beathard, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, and Lamar Jackson. All right. Few names on this list I would take. I'm going to start at the bottom. I would take Lamar Jackson, but I doubt if they allow him to leave out the building. I think they're going to franchise tag him. Taylor Heineke, absolutely. I like his warrior spirit. I like his toughness. Is he the best quarterback in the world? No, but I know he's going to give it his all. Like, he's a gunslinger. He's a risk taker. I don't know how many games the Saints will win, but it'll be exciting as hell to watch him play. Kyle Allen, I'll pass on that. Solid backup quarterback. He'll give you a little something. I'm not gonna hate on him. We seen him, with the Carolina Panthers for a few years. He's not bad. It's not great. C.J. Beathard, I'll pass. Mike White, this situation and that's going on in New York, I can't see them allowing him to leave out the door, especially since this whole Zach Wilson situation has happened and they're wondering, like, is he the future of the franchise? And Mike White has shown that he can ball out. So Mike White, I definitely would take him. Andy Dalton, I'm kind of over it, man. I'm kind of over it. And people are like, well, that's another year. He'll understand the Saints offense, but what happens if Pete Carmichael doesn't come back? Then, he's basically going to be starting from scratch just like everybody else. So I'll pass. Joe Flacco, no. Geno Smith, I take it, but Seattle had to be insane to allow this dude to go. Jacoby Brissett, I'll take him. He's a solid backup quarterback. We know that you can put him in and he can win some games for you. So I'll take him as a bridge guy. Mason Rudolph, no. Case Keenum, no. Daniel Jones not going anywhere, especially the way that he played against the Vikings. If he can replicate that in the postseason, he's not going anywhere. Teddy Bridgewater, I would take him back. I would take Teddy Bridgewater back as a bridge quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo, if you commit to Jimmy Garoppolo, in my opinion, that's not a bridge quarterback. He's looking to be the franchise quarterback. So that's going to be a tough decision that you will have to make as a franchise. Sam Darnold, 43 yards in one game. I'll pass. Baker Mayfield, if you can promise me you can find like the right offensive coordinator, I wouldn't mind. And Tom Brady, I already mentioned, no. All right. So Taylor Heineke, I'll take. Mike White, I'll take. Jacoby Brissett, I'll take. Teddy Bridgewater, I'll take. Jimmy G, I would take. And Baker Mayfield, depends on the situation, I would take. And I didn't mention Lamar Jackson, any of those other guys, because I don't realistically believe that those guys are going to be on the market. So that's the way I feel about it. Mike White would be great in New Orleans. Yeah, I think he would be. But I'm always concerned about being in the right situation. It's not just about talent. It's about guys being able to get that talent out of you. MF is better than Sam Darnold. Let's see. But White probably won't get anyone to the dance. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm saying this again for people that just tuned in. We got 280 people watching this right now. I ask that you hit the like button. I just think that we look at quarterbacks, and if they're not Mahomes, if they're not Josh Allen, if they're not Joe Burrow, they're not Brady, if they're not Rodgers, then all of a sudden, like, we just look at them as like lost causes. All I'm saying is, like, just go throughout the league. Like, just go throughout the league and just take a look at these quarterbacks and you tell me if they're elite quarterbacks. Like, and tell me how many actual elite quarterbacks they have out there and how many just guys that are just average. At times they look above average. There's not many elite quarterbacks out there. So if you can have yourself a quarterback that can do some of the right things and you put a team around them, like a good defense, like a good running game, I think you can win with them. I just think that when people want pizzazz, people want flash, people want like excitement, right? That's what you want. And I get it. That's what we all want. Like watching the Saints over this past season, like it was like watching paint dry. Like if your team gonna lose, at least you want them to lose with style. Like even though like some of those losses that we had with Drew Brees at times, like at least like, okay, man, they lost, but they gave it their all. It's boring. Like I want a guy to play and I want him to do what he needs to do. But I also want to be entertained at the same time. And there was nothing entertaining about that. So I think that there's levels of entertainment that you need to have. Also, you need excitement. You need excitement, but everybody is not going to be an elite quarterback. If you find an elite quarterback, then God bless you. But there are not many elite quarterbacks in the National Football League. If you really truly think about it. If you really truly think about it, there aren't many elite quarterbacks in the National Football League. If you can get a guy that's serviceable, that's why people are like, man, why the Vikings keep on bringing out Kirk Cousins? Because I mean, by NFL standards, he's a pretty good quarterback. He is. I mean, average. But at times where there are times where Kirk Cousins, let's just be real. There are times where Kirk Cousins looked like he one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and then there got times where he throws a ball for 3 yards short of the line of gain on 4th down. So sometimes you gotta take the bad with the good. But I just think that if you thinking, somebody about to be Breeze and the Saints just gonna find them, like finding an elite quarterback is like finding a needle in a haystack. A guy that just checks all the boxes. He's a leader. He's a guy that everybody just galvanizes around. You know what I'm saying? Like a guy that, says all the right things, does all the right things, make good decisions, facilitate comebacks. It's hard to find guys like that. That's why teams hold on to him the way that they do. Color, you should sub to every Buffalo podcast on YouTube. Color commentary says, cross fandom sub, great takes. I appreciate that. Thank you, man. Thank you. Always good to see and hear from fans of other teams that come and stop by. I mean, a lot of respect for y'all, man. Appreciate it. Man, this is the pros. Everybody playing for a ring. Do pro boxers fight to not be champion? Yeah, they do. Yes, they do. Okay, if that's the case, EA, my goodness, man, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but bruh, if that's the case, then why isn't Errol Spence fighting Terrence Crawford? Huh? I mean, why isn't Tyson Fury fighting Anthony Joshua? If this is about championships, like, why are these guys not fighting? You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't about that all the time. But hey, I like the example. Ask Barkley, Malone, Stockton if a ring not important. You're being intellectually dishonest. Look, I agree with you. Do guys want to be solidified? Do they want to solidify themselves as champions? Absolutely. But is that like the only thing? No, it's not. Right? So if Aaron Donald won a championship, he won a championship last year. If he won a championship last year, but let's just say, for example, Aaron Donald didn't do any of the things that he did. He didn't do any of the things that he actually did, right? And he won a championship. Doesn't mean anything. Like, seriously, doesn't mean anything. Like, man, I'm Aaron Donald. I won a championship. Doesn't mean anything. It does not. It's about the work that you put on top of the championship. Like, so consistently winning, consistently finding success, building a winning culture, and then winning championships mean more. Because the thing about it is, what happens after this, right? The time is going to continue to go on. As you probably already noticed, when you all won the championship, in 2003, right? Time went on. Then all of a sudden, people were still laughing at y'all and making fun of y'all, always picking in the top 3, always changing coaches like people change their underwear. Like, how is that validating you then? Oh, we got one championship, but y'all ain't winning nothing. It has to be success combined with organizational structure, then championships. Like, if you're going to brag and beat on your team and talk about how great they are, at least have some winning consistently winning. Like, don't just come in here and be like new to the show and just be like, I'm just using this as an example, being new to the show and trying to tell everybody what things should be. No. We can beat on our chest. Yes, the Saints have had some heartbreaking, heart-wrenching playoff defeats. But we can still say, man, the Saints have been one of the most relevant teams over the last decade and a half. We can talk about, like winning the division, more times than anybody else in the South. We can talk about these things. Yeah, it didn't always in the championships, but we still relevant as a team, as a fan base. Like, people still care about them. What happens, what happens when the guy that everybody cares about the most leaves? Like, are you still going to be able to keep that up? That's all I'm saying. I'm not poo-pooing on the championship. Yes, that's the ultimate goal. But I'm not trying. Look, it don't mean nothing to me if you can't back it up and constantly find continued success. Anybody can, like, if we want to use boxing, for example, anybody can catch somebody with an overhand right and knock them out cold, right? Anybody can do that. Like, everybody, for the most part, everybody can punch. Everybody got punching power if you're a boxer. So you can, you know what I'm saying, you can have the best boxer in the world, you know what I'm saying, go out there probably, you know, box a guy and all of a sudden hit him with overhand right, knock him out cold. Does that mean like he better than that guy? No. Don't mean it to me. I mean, everybody finds success, you know, can find success, but it's about continued success. That's why we celebrate great people. That's why we celebrate guys like your quarterback, Tom Brady. That's why we celebrate guys like Drew Brees. That's why we celebrate guys, unfortunately, even though he's a prick at times, Aaron Rodgers. That's why you celebrate these guys, because they consistently went on top of being a champion. But, you know, like those guys aspire to be champions, but does it negate the fact that Karl Malone is one of the greatest power forwards of all time? Absolutely not. Does that still negate the fact that Charles Barkley was one of the greatest players of all time? Absolutely not. I mean, they still like one of the top players in my book. Dan Marino, does that mean he's not one of the best quarterbacks of all time? That don't mean anything. Like I said, it's about continuing success, continuous success, and on top of that, you know, winning championships along the way. Because if you just win a championship and nothing, you know, and you don't follow it up with nothing, like you just a footnote. I mean, am I right or am I wrong? Okay, here's another example. The Dallas Cowboys won 3 championships, right? They won 3 championships, right? All right. Somebody tell me who was the Super Bowl MVP of the last Super Bowl? Somebody tell me. Now, who knows? I want to say this dude's name was Larry Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. Larry Johnson caught 2 interceptions off Neil O'Donnell, right? Returned them, you know what I'm saying, for a touchdown. Larry Brown, thank you. Larry Brown. I didn't even know his name. That's my whole point. Larry Brown caught 2 interceptions in that game. Got a big contract from the Raiders. Never heard from him again. But this guy's a Super Bowl MVP, won a Super Bowl. Okay, Malcolm Smith. All those guys were in the Legion of Boom. Malcolm freaking Smith was the Super Bowl MVP when they beat the brakes off the Denver Broncos. Somebody tell me, where's Malcolm Smith? Like after he left there, I think he went to the Raiders and you never heard from him again. All I'm saying is continual success is the key on top of just being a champion. You know, yeah, you'll have great moments that will forever be played, you know, to the end of time. But, bro, you gotta put something else on top of it. Facts. How many rings a player have don't define them. Exactly. That's all I wanted. Yeah, Larry Brown. But thank you, Inevitable. Yeah, I appreciate that. I couldn't think of his name. I know it was Larry. I know Larry Johnson, the running back. He played for the Chiefs, but. You get my point. Y'all get my point. Hundley is good. With a little help, we can turn him up. Yeah, I like Tyler Hundley, man. Look, I understand about that whole fumble situation, but the dude didn't just play awful. I mean, dude only had like 1 target out there, and that was Mark Andrews. And look, Mark Andrews can play on my team any day, right? Mark Andrews can play on my team any day. Now, we all seen when Tyler Hundley dived over the top, ball just fell right into the hands of Sam Hubbard. Sam Hubbard racing down the field 98 yards. Mark Andrews was right there and was close, like touched his leg, almost tripped him up. That's the type of dude that I want on my football team. I tell you what, if it don't work out in Baltimore, I would take Mark Andrews. Like, man, I know he ain't going nowhere because he's so talented, but that's the type of guy that you want on your football team. A guy that ain't quitting, a guy that ain't giving up. Like, to me, I understand Sam Hubbard made, the play, but to me, who made the better play for me was Mark Andrews. That's the one that stood out to me. And he almost caught him. Like, he almost caught him. So I got so much respect for Mark Andrews. Like, I always knew that Mark Andrews was a really good tight end, kind of underrated because you got guys with bigger personalities like George Kittle, guys like Travis Kelce. Those guys kind of come into a room, everybody kind of see him. Mark Andrews, I mean, he kind of he got a little personality with him, but I just think that those guys' personalities overshadow him. But Mark Andrews can play on my team any day. TJ, do you think Taysom Hill should be put as starting quarterback every time he went on the field as quarterback? He impressed. You know what? I will say this. I don't know if that's a solution or not, but I would take Taysom Hill over Andy Dalton. Like, I would take Taysom Hill and as far as quarterbacking, look, Andy Dalton's a better passer than he is, right? But I just think that you can do more things with Taysom Hill. And once again, I don't feel like everybody in the Who Dat Nation to be sleeping in the stands watching Taysom Hill play, right? You're always going to have that injury element because of how tough he plays and how physical he is. But I mean, I take him over Andy Dalton. I'm just over watching Andy Dalton, to be honest with you. It's not that Andy Dalton did personally. I just think that you can get better than what he is. Me too. I like Hundley. I would be happy to have him. I'm pretty sure he's gonna end up signing with somebody, so might end up getting what you want. That's a great point, SOTS. Before the Madden cover, there was the NFL records fact book published yearly. They used to put Super Bowl MVP on the cover. It was like guys like Jerry Rice and O.J. Anderson. Yeah, I mean, when you look at like I said, when you look at certain guys, okay, they just stand out, right? Like you just mentioned, Jerry Rice. I mean, no brainer. Super Bowl MVP. We all know about that classic 4 Super Bowl game he had. Guys like Joe Montana, great moment after great moment. But like I said, every now and then you have guys who become Super Bowl MVPs and you don't hear about them no more. Like Desmond Howard. Like, we know Desmond Howard from, college game day, but Desmond Howard was Super Bowl MVP when the Green Bay Packers played the New England Patriots in the Superdome, right? But, man, what did Desmond Howard do throughout his career? Return kicks? I mean, if you ask the Washington Redskins when they drafted him, all he going to do is return kicks. Like, we'll pass. We can get somebody else to do that, right? So, for every Jerry Rice, there's a Desmond Howard, I mean, that I don't know. Like I said, if you want to really impress me, I can't speak for everybody, but if you want to impress me, like it's more than just winning championships. Like, anybody can fall ass backwards into prosperity. It's about maintaining your position. It's about staying there on top. That's why I like LeBron James or not, like Michael Jordan or not. Like, these guys have solidified themselves on Mount Olympus. Like, I'll even put Steph Curry in there. He found the lane, and now he's the greatest at his lane. Like, but you gotta solidify yourself by constantly being successful and constantly finding success. I'm gonna take a few more, and then we're gonna get up out of here. Let's see, TJ, what do you think about Jalen Hall out of BYU? Kind of small, but seemed like a good dude, leader for the Saints. I have to get back to you on that one, Smoke. I have an answer for you. To be honest with you, man, and I'm happy to say this, man. State of Saints podcast. We will be out at the Senior Bowl, man. I can't believe this. I actually got an invite as a member of the media to go to the Senior Bowl. So I have an opportunity to go out there, interview some of those guys that possibly end up playing for the Saints or possibly playing for some other team. So I'll be able to get a closer look at some of these guys that you all mentioned. And, when I go out here to Mobile in the next couple of weeks. But honestly, I really don't know that much about him. But I'm pretty sure, like, probably next time you ask me, I'll take a look at him and I'll give you a fair, assessment of him, because I don't want to just be sitting up here just, sounding like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know the dude, to be honest. Malcolm X, well, thank you very much for $2. Says copyright infringement, fool. Hey, man, it's one of my favorite hats right here, man. I love this hat. TJ, do you think Jameis is going to leave? Yes, I do. I think the Saints should try to sign Aaron Rodgers and draft the quarterback. And I can do without the headaches. And honestly, if you sign a guy like Aaron Rodgers, once again, that's a guy that you commit to. He's not a bridge guy. I really feel Taysom Hill would be an asset at quarterback in 2023. Give the man the field. If you're DA, you're already a joke, especially when Andy Dalton at quarterback. What would it really hurt to put Taysom Hill in? Well, we already know they didn't know what they was doing when they switched Taysom Hill to tight end, and he played very little tight end. He basically played the same position he did for all the years he was with the Saints, right? So, man, this whole thing just screwed. Like, if you just go back and just listen to like some of the things that they wanted to do and how it turned out, you'll just realize that this team and this organization is far behind than we all imagine. That's all I remember Howard for is the Heisman pose in the end zone in Michigan. Yeah, when he returned that kick. Yeah, but he was a Super Bowl MVP. That's what's up. Congrats on the invite. Good stuff, TJ. Man, I appreciate that, man. Man, we built something special here on the State of Saints podcast going into year 6 of this podcast. And, man, I never imagined that the show would actually get to this particular point where, get opportunity to go out to the Senior Bowl. So that's a big honor, man. I was taken back when that actually happened. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate everybody that check out this podcast and every person that I've interviewed on this podcast and all the people that make it what it is. We wouldn't be at this point if that, for all the people, if it wasn't for all the people that helped this podcast grow. Good meeting y'all. That's great talk. Color, thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. Hopefully this won't be your last time on the show. We not only just talk Saints, we talk NFL too. We started a podcast called the Gumbo Pie Sports Podcast. We've had a few episodes of that. We'll be back this week also talking about some things going on around the NFL as well as the NBA and other things that's happening as well. So it's not just a Saints podcast here on this channel. We talk about other things as well. So if you like sports, go ahead and hit that subscription button. We talk all of them. TJ, this feels like we now have a man on the ground in Mobile. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, you definitely do. I'm definitely gonna be talking to you all, letting you all know what's going on, what's happening. I'm probably gonna get down there probably on Thursday, get a chance to like interview and talk to some of those guys and see what those guys have. We got to get TJ some Saints merch for his studio. Come on. Let's see. Color commentary. Welcome. Well, it's not about color. I'm actually, man. Look, I'm a radio broadcaster, right? So I'm actually at work right now. I'm at the radio station. So right now we're doing a show here, but I got an office at home. You'll see like stuff in the background, but I'm at the station. I'm at the radio station right now. So that's the reason why, the background. That's why you see the blinds behind me, but it's not a everyday thing. It's just what it's just where we at right now. But I appreciate it, man. Love to have you over at the Fins tailgate. Hit us up anytime. Okay, man, I appreciate that. You're going to rep the Landlord Harassment Channel logo at the Senior Bowl, right? Hell no. To the no. Hell to the no. Nah, man, I love you, man. But look, we got to keep it professional out here. We gotta have the SOTS t-shirts on this one. All right. So, we got to look professional, night haircut and all that kind of stuff going. So, yeah. TJ, I made a post about Dwight Howard being left eye of the 75th anniversary team pulled up his stats and pulled up AD stats and tell me why he was left off. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't understand. I don't understand why Anthony Davis is on the 75th anniversary list. What has he done besides get hurt and grab his ankle every 2 to 3 games? I don't know. But you can talk about Dwight Howard all you want to, but this dude was a force, and he led the Orlando Magic to the NBA Finals. Now they lost; they only won 1 game, but he got them there, right? And when you got guys like Jameer Nelson and Hedo Turkoglu, and he had who else he had out there? Rashad Smith, and you had a bunch of guys out there, and this dude led these boys. He led them boys to the finals. So I don't know. And I feel bad, man. I gotta look up this dude's name, man. Because I don't want to leave. I don't want to make sure I get this dude's name right, because this dude was a beast in his day. Rashard Lewis. Thank you. Rashard Lewis. Thank you. I had to make sure I put his name right, put some respect on that man's name, because that boy was a beast. That boy can pull up from 3. Yeah, that boy had a nice little shot on him. So Rashard Lewis, yeah, thank you. Yeah, and then Rayford Austin, Skip to Malou. Yeah, so I ain't never seen Anthony Davis do that. All right, I seen him get carried by LeBron James to a final in a bubble. When you basically was just walking to 24-hour fitness and playing basketball for a live studio audience. And no crowd into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically just y'all out there, y'all can hear everything. No real true situations. Y'all just out there playing pickup game. What have they done since then? That's all I want to know. But let's go ahead and end it with a sports question. A football question. The worst part about it is Tampa has a first place schedule in 2023. Well, good luck to them, okay? Because we know that more than likely Tom Brady won't be back, and they got a lot of work to do. So we'll see how good this organization is. We'll see how put together y'all organization is. All right, we'll see. But thank y'all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the show. Also, previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Also, check out some of the other shows that we have here on the Pigskin, the State of the Saints podcast network. We have the Therapy Couch that's available for those that want to talk about mental health. There's a podcast for that. Also, the Gumbo Pod Sports podcast is available. We're talking about different sports, NBA, NFL. Just talk about different topics that involve sports. And, of course, the State of the Saints podcast, where you are right now. We talk about the New Orleans Saints and talk about, some of the things that they need to do in order for them to get back to being the team that we know they can be. But I really do appreciate it. Shouts out to everybody in the chat. Much love to you. Have a good morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is,